Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the actual maintenance team and the composition of a good maintenance team. And just a couple caveats. It's going to vary obviously to a certain degree based upon your type of business, based upon the structure of your business, and most importantly, based upon the size of your business. For example, when we were up around 1,000 units, and then also managing homeowners associations as well. Our maintenance team consisted of a maintenance manager, who would ultimately become a maintenance director as the company continued to grow. And that person's job was really the high level management of the maintenance team. They would work with clients directly on getting work approved, providing bids, checking out projects to be done, researching, putting together quotes for materials and labor, scope of work, things like that. They would operate on a high level. They would also, in our situation, they would also be responsible for getting the invoices over to accounting, verifying the accuracy of invoicing, making sure that all invoices had all materials accounted for, you know, for example, vehicle stock, things that were kept on our vehicles, light bulbs, plumbing accessories, things like that. The maintenance manager would look over invoices and say, okay, I see this work was done on this site. You used from your stock, you know, what did you use? What stock, did we use? And then put prices on that. So they capture a lot of things that can very easily be missed in the process. And they operated on more of a high level with the maintenance lead reporting to them. So the maintenance manager would report to me. The maintenance lead would report to the maintenance manager. And so the maintenance lead, their job was the day to day. They would work with the technicians on the team. They would work on the scheduling. They would also work obviously very closely with the maintenance manager. If anything came up, priorities changed, they would take direction from the manager. In this business, things change day by day. So we would load up the schedule very big to more than you can get done in a day, with the tail end of the day being lower priority type items. For example, the beginning of the day and midday would be things where you're getting into a tenant's home, you've coordinated with them to be given access, or things that are time sensitive, right? Like you're meeting another vendor on site, or you're meeting the buildings and codes department or the fire department on site. So that's really what that beginning and midday is for. And then later in the day might be, we're going to chip away at this project we're working on, whether it's like a big turnover or a renovation, but something where the place isn't occupied. You always want to have those jobs in your hopper because surprises are going to come up every day. Whether it's, I had people call out sick, it's the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday and half the team calls out sick, things like that. Schedules are going to change, or a tenant who was available got called into work and they're not available, or someone who was, available refused access. So the lead is going to be more agile, and they're going to have things in the hopper so that if one of the technicians, their day gets blown up, they can kind of handle that, and they can assign them new work and keep them working so they're not working a 3-hour day. And on the other side of the coin, if their first job gets really busy, right? If there are complications, they open up a wall and this is going to be a big project. Okay, now the maintenance lead would say, okay, I can reach out to the other, items for their daily agenda, their daily schedule. I can go ahead and get those things rescheduled, and they can juggle that. Here's what you don't want to do, okay? Because believe me, I've experienced this firsthand on multiple occasions. You don't want to have one person. You do not want to have a lead doing the job of a maintenance manager. I've dealt with this myself. I've also experienced this elsewhere, and it's a perfect recipe for burnout and really bad work. You need the maintenance manager and you need a maintenance lead. You need both roles. Anyone who thinks that they can satisfy that with one role, you're playing with fire, and it's going to blow up in a bad way. Things aren't going to get done in a timely fashion. They're not going to get done well. It's going to be very inefficient. I mean, it's just too much to put on the shoulders of one person. Now, I understand if you're a smaller business, maybe let's say your portfolio consists of 200 units, 300 units. Okay, You can have one person, but as you grow, listen to them. If they're working 10, 12 hours a day consistently and the volume is going up to a point where they're struggling, you need to hire another person because you will burn them out and you don't want to lose that person. I've seen that happen so many times. I've also seen models where the property management company outsources all maintenance. I mean, you need control of maintenance. You need to have maintenance in-house, in my opinion. Outsourcing it, think about it. Then you're at the mercy of when that third party is available. Then if there's an issue with the work that they did, good luck getting them back immediately. They may be busy, they may have other jobs to do. If you bring the maintenance work in-house, not only are you going to make more money, right? And yes, it is more work, but you have control. And in this business, you really want to have control over when your team goes out, over specifically what they do. You want to have quality control as well. There's another job of the maintenance manager, high level, kind of tasks like visiting projects that are in progress, seeing how they're running. Are we working within our timeline of what we quoted? How are we doing on materials? Do I need to reach out to the client on this? So, you really, again, you really want to have both of those roles filled to have a really healthy team. And you really want to have maintenance in-house. Again, you can do it with third parties for a while. You can do it with a smaller team as you grow. But that's something you're going to want to really invest in. And here's the other thing too. You need these folks, and it's a competitive market, at least here and now. Well, for the past few years, it has been. They have a lot of choices in where they can go. They can go out on their own, right? So you want to give them a good place to work. You don't want to give them a place where they're constantly exhausted. There's more, it's an endless amount of work to do. They can't keep up and they don't have the leadership they need. You don't want that. I'd rather invest heavily in the maintenance team and experience lower margins and have a team that sticks with us and stays with us for a long time. I'd rather have that than make some more money today, burn these people out, and then have a hard time hiring down the road. So that's just my observations, my recommendations as far as building out your maintenance team. And again, just keep in mind, maintenance is tough. Maintenance workers are a tough breed. They can be really, really challenging. They have a lot of stuff going on in their own lives. You're going to have, sometimes you'll have high turnover. Sometimes you'll have a hard time finding sort of the right person. And it's still a tough labor market for them. Like I said before, they have a lot of options. So when you get a really good maintenance worker, you want to take great care of them. You want to listen to what they want. Do they want a balanced schedule, or do they want higher rate of pay? Do they want health care? What are they looking for? They're really someone you should not consider as replaceable. They're really a position that you should build around and encourage to stay with the company and grow with the company over the years. Again, it's a really tough sort of demographic. It's a tough, the maintenance workers in general are they're really tough to come by. Skilled, competent maintenance workers who are going to, report to you on their time every day, report to you on how long it took them on each job and materials that were used and things like that. So you want to make sure you take really good care of them, and you want to be thoughtful in the way that you build out your team.